We could call out the hypocrisy all the time, right? We could do it forever, but it would not be enough. So what would be enough to get us out of that slow descent to hell I'm always talking about? Well, you know what it is? It's conviction. It's saying what you believe and saying it clearly. It's action, doing something about it. And occasionally it's comedy, right? Making fun of these people so that you can show people what the truth is. So where is that happening, people? Well, yeah, it's happening right here in the free state of Florida. Here is Governor Ron DeSantis sharing his thoughts on Joe Biden's speech.
Well, I thought it was one of the most disgusting speeches an American president has ever given. He ran as being a unifier, and he's basically saying to the vast majority of the country that disapproves of him that they're effectively a threat to the republic. He dodders, he lashes out, but at the end of the day, his policies are why there's so much opposition to him. He came in and he opened the border, and we've seen what a disaster that's been. He kneecapped American energy. We've seen how that's hurt millions and millions of people across our country. They've inflated the currency. We have one of the worst inflations we've had in over 40 years. So of course, people are going to be upset at all the wreckage that he's left in his wake. He is the American Nero. He's a failed leader, and I think that he is doing this because he's trying to energize his base to fend off a real butt whipping this November.
That's what you do. You state your case clearly with facts. So I want to address the three things, the three specific bullet points that Governor DeSantis said there, and let's just compare reality versus what Joe Biden is talking about. So first off, Ron DeSantis calls him out on the border. Well, we know, you guys know, we've covered it many times here. We have had more border crossings in a shorter period of time than any other point in American history, certainly American modern history. And we know that the Democrats basically want it, right? And when Trump tried to do something about it, he was called a racist. So then what happens is they get all these illegals here. They go to these Democrat-run cities like New York and DC, and then what happens? Their social services start collapsing. And then the mayors, like Muriel Bowser in DC, is very upset because her homeless shelters, which are pretty packed anyway because of her policies, are now doubly packed because they've got a bunch of illegal immigrants there. Well, what happens when you send these illegal immigrants who should not be in this country to places like Florida? We bus them to DC. You gotta love it. It's actually quite spectacular. So of course, Ron DeSantis clearly is saying the truth. You guys open the border, people are pissed about it. Just look what's going on with voting, the Latino vote in Texas, which is now going further and further to the right and to conservatives because they've had it with illegal immigrants, the people who came here legally. Then energy. Well, we know this. We know this. What was the first thing that Joe Biden did, in essence, one of his day one things when he became president? Canceled the Keystone XL pipeline. They are intentionally, they're telling us that we are intentionally trying to destroy fossil fuels. We want all of you schmucks to buy electric cars. We don't care how expensive they are. Go out and get an electric car. That's what Gay Pete said. And then, of course, inflation. Well, you spend crazy amounts. You put in these crazy bills, all of this lunacy money. You just print endlessly. And then I'm not a mathematician, but then the value of money goes down. Inflation goes up. That's how it works. So Ron DeSantis clearly states all of those things. What's also interesting about that is I wonder what Joe Biden would say about Ron DeSantis, whether he's a dark MAGA Republican or not. Now, DeSantis is a guy who has run this state extremely well, competently, gotten critical race theory out of our schools, getting rid of the gender nonsense. Our restaurants and our economy here absolutely packed. Everywhere you go, you can feel the spirit of freedom and of life, and you don't see masks anywhere and all of that stuff, right? So is that a good enough Republican for Joe Biden? I think not. I think not, and I think we'll see more of that coming. But okay, so Ron DeSantis lays out truth. Well, what also should you do? You've got to have conviction. You have to actually fight and do things because the monster and the machine is not going to stop. Here in this case, here's DeSantis actually doing something while Biden's FDA is cracking down on us.
After 630 days, we still sit here waiting for an answer. And so it's our view that we've waited long enough. And so today we're taking action. The state of Florida has now filed a lawsuit against the FDA. They have unlawfully withheld and unreasonably delayed approval of Florida's program. And we think this violates federal law. So
Damn straight, man. Yeah, you sue the federal government when they don't do what they're supposed to do or when they actually overstep what they're supposed to do, which in this case, they're often doing both, right? And then what's the other way you do this? So, okay, you call it out, then you fight, and you also just mock the shit out of these people because that's exactly what they're worthy of.
With Biden, you think of a guy staring into the teleprompter like a deer in the headlights. End of quote. Repeat the line. Now, I must say, he did test positive for COVID, and I want to, on behalf of the state of Florida, wish President Biden a speedy recovery from COVID. And I also want to wish the United States of America a speedy recovery from Joe Biden.
All right, there you go. A little humor related to all of this. That's good. And then you know what happens? If you state your case clearly, if you have conviction and you fight, if you do a little humor every now and again, you know what happens? People start seeing it. They start seeing it and they start flocking to the places where truth still exists, where freedom still exists, and they start leaving the places where the lies and big government and the endless suck of your money and your attention are all happening.